President Trump continues to raise alarm tonight after refusing to say if he would allow a peaceful transfer of power should he lose the election.
Well, today, in a remarkable move, the Republican-controlled Senate passed a resolution reaffirming its commitment to a peaceful transition of office.
And KCAL9 political reporter Tom Waite is here live with the latest on what could turn into a constitutional crisis. Tom.
That's right, Pat and Juan. Tonight, even Republicans who rarely stand up to President Trump are speaking out, saying there will be a peaceful transition of power if Joe Biden were to win the election. As for the president, he continues to make false claims about vote by mail. President Trump continues his streak of flouting health guidelines, gathering a crowd tonight for another campaign rally, this time in Florida, a state that saw a huge surge in coronavirus cases over the summer. Earlier, for the second day in a row, the president still would not commit to a peaceful transition of power if he loses the election, continuing to make the false claim that mail-in voting is rife with fraud.
We want to make sure the election is honest, and I'm not sure that it can be. I don't know that it can be with this whole situation, unsolicited ballots.
But history suggests that's not true, according to the FBI director who was appointed by Trump. Christopher Wray testified today on Capitol Hill.
Now, we have not seen historically any kind of coordinated national voter fraud effort in a major election, whether it's by mail or otherwise.
On Wednesday, President Trump even cited mail-in ballots as the reason for why he may not engage in a peaceful transition of power.
We're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots.
Joe Biden said he was not surprised to hear the president's view.
I said, what country are we in? Look, he says the most irrational things.
But today, several senior Republican lawmakers who rarely break with the president in public insisted there would be an orderly transition no matter who wins.
It doesn't matter what the president says. The Constitution says the presidency ends on January 20th.
Mitt Romney, a frequent critic of the president's, said the thought of not handing over power was unthinkable and unacceptable, and the behavior of an authoritarian regime. Loyola law professor and political analyst Jessica Levinson.
There's so many things about this administration that are unusual or outside norms, but the idea that we might not accept election results, the idea that we might not have a peaceful transition of power, this is just outside of our accepted norms.
Levinson says the Constitution provides us with a guide to our elections, but if chaos reigns, that could mean trouble for our democracy.
I am worried about situations where the Electoral College does not work as intended. Our Constitution gives us a roadmap for elections, but it doesn't give us turn by turn for every single instance.
Some critics, though, believe this is all a cynical campaign stunt to excite the president's supporters while trying to reduce the number of Democrats who are willing to show up at the polls. Senate Majority Leader Republican Mitch McConnell also put out a statement saying there will be an orderly transition of power should Trump lose, just as there has been every election since 1792. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Tom Waite. Pat, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Tom.